Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to talk about Altaria. And not every card from the new set is getting its own video right now. Frankly, there are too many cards. But Altaria gets its own video. Because Altaria is nuts good. Yeah, fine, it's one of those fancy new dragons, yay, etc. But honestly, I don't care that it's a dragon Pokemon. It doesn't really mean very much to me that it's a dragon Pokemon, because being a dragon Pokemon isn't what makes it special. The ability, that is what makes it absolutely special. Now, I should give a shout out here to the lovely Antoine Boulet, who has provided our translation. Not the first time you've heard that. I very much hope it won't be the last. Now, Altaria here, if we start off with the basics, you got 90 HP. 90 HP is actually huge, because this is a tech. You ain't building your deck around Altaria, you are using it as a tech. And you can search it out with Level Ball, and that is huge. It really is as simple as that. The fact that you can grab this with Level Ball means everything. Because it means you can search it out far, far more easily. Nowadays, with Level Ball back in the format, having evolved Pokemon with 90 HP or less can actually be an advantage. Yes, it means it's weak and blah, 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 but that's still good. Oh yeah, and it's got free retreat. Again, we're talking about Altaria as a Pokemon to sit on the bench and use the ability. Don't worry, we'll go all through that in a moment. If you're telling me I can search it out with Level Ball and it's got free retreat, that is pretty gosh darned awesome. As for the lack of weakness, it's awesome. We like having no weakness. Dragon Pokemon don't have it. But honestly, it's not what we're screaming about here, because you got 90 HP, don't get too excited. Similarly, the attack, 1 water, 1 metal energy, 60 damage. Like, maybe, if you gave me double dragon energy back, and I could then do 60, and with a Vitality Band, it turns into 70, and I'm KOing evolving Pokemon, techs like Galarian, Zigzagoon, etc. Maybe. But we don't have double dragon energy, so yeah. It is quite literally all about the ability. Luring Search. Once during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card and reveal it. Shuffle the rest of your deck and put the card you revealed on top of your deck. This is huge. And look, I know it's a stage 1, but here's the thing. As it stands at the moment, a lot of people are playing Mewtwo. And the reason a lot of people are playing Mewtwo is because it will get a supporter card from your discard pile back on top of your deck. Now, I know Mewtwo recovers supporters, and this searches your deck, but Palpad. There we go. Play Palpad, put your supporters back into your deck. Remember, it was in Sword and Shield, so it will survive the rotation. Put them back into your deck and then grab them with Altaria. And Mewtwo's a pain, right? Because Mewtwo is a play ability. So you play Mewtwo from your hand onto your bench, you get your supporter on top of your deck, and then Mewtwo's just sitting on your bench taking up room. And sure, you can scoop up net and reuse it, but now you've got to have your Mewtwo on your bench, and then you've got to draw your scoop up net and use your scoop up net. I know Mewtwo's a basic and Altaria's a stage 1, but in what world is Mewtwo and mucking about with scoop up net easier than just having a stage 1 sitting on your bench? No, ladies and gentlemen, this seems A-okay to me. I am a big fan of this ability. Because the fact of the matter is, right, there are games we've all lost because we've not had the right supporter. I mean, the classic example is the whole next one to draw bosses orders wins. I have worked very hard and in some ways gotten very lucky, and I have been able to commentate a bunch of Pokemon tournaments, both grassroots and for Pokemon themselves. Fair bit of luck involved there. And in commentating a lot of tournaments, I have had many games where the next person to draw boss's orders wins, or before that, the next person to draw Guzma, or the next person to draw Lysander, or you get where I'm going with this. The next person to be able to draw their gusting supporter will be the person that wins the game. Altaria says that that person is you. Altaria makes sure that the next person that draws into that card is you. And then you win the game. But imagine this. So back in the day, here's a nice little parallel. Back in the day, we had Jirachi EX, incidentally still legal and expanded. Oh, this is a nice time to plug. I'm doing a complete history of the Pokemon trading card game on this channel. Those videos take a huge amount of time to make, and they are far from the most popular videos on this channel, so do please check them out. But we recently looked at Dragons Exalted, and we looked at Jirachi EX. 90 HP, ability that searches out a supporter card, and can be searched with level ball. And incidentally, that is one of the reasons why Jirachi still sees play over something like Tapu Lele in Expanded, because Tapu Lele can't be searched with level ball and Jirachi can. Well, here, okay, fine, you've got to have your Swablu down and you've got to wait a turn to evolve. But that means a level ball can turn into a supporter in the same way that Jirachi allows level ball to turn into a supporter. It is a huge, huge thing here. Now, I suppose for a second we need to take a step back and just remind ourselves that, like Mewtwo, this doesn't give you the supporter, it puts a supporter on top of your deck. Now, one obvious point here is, well, you're going to draw it next turn. Which is cool, right? I think it's cool. Now, sometimes that will be I really need it now, but I'm desperate, I'll take it next turn, beggars, choosers, all of that. However, there are going to be so many games, and I did this with Macargo all the time. Macargo let you search for any card and put it on top of your deck. And the thing that we did with Macargo was, I'll just set myself up for next turn. Just use Macargo to put whatever card you wanted, knowing you draw into it next turn. And one of the really cool things here is that nowadays the hand disruption that everybody's playing is Marnie. Marnie makes you shuffle your hand and put it on the bottom of your deck, and then draw 4 cards. Which means that if I use Altaria to put a supporter card on top of my deck, and I get Marnied by my opponent, I am guaranteed to draw that supporter card. Which is awesome. Now, to be fair, we do know that a reprint of Judge is coming, but an awful lot of people told me that Marnie is still going to be better than Judge. Incidentally, there are pros and cons for both. I did a whole video about it, but there is absolutely reason to believe that Marnie will be the more popular of them. And that was one of the awkward things with Macargo. Your opponent could make you shuffle your hand with something like a Judge, and then you wouldn't draw that card back. Well, good news. Marnie doesn't get rid of that card. Marnie guarantees you get it. So there is the whole, I'll just draw it next turn. Either I'm desperate and I haven't got a better option, or, you know what? It's just the last thing I do in my turn. Like at the end of every turn, you use Altaria to put the perfect supporter card on top of your deck, unless, of course, that perfect supporter card is already in your hand. That's kind of cool. And incidentally, because of the whole Marnie thing, there are absolutely reasons why you would want it on top of your deck rather than in your hand. Because Marnie can get it out your hand. But the other thing is, we've got stuff like Oranguru. Like, literally anything that will draw a card here. So Oranguru swaps a card in your hand with the top card of your deck. So, an Oranguru, incidentally, is what we tend to use with Mewtwo. Oranguru will get that supporter card. Or we've got the Chinchino, which will discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards, and one of the cards you draw will be that supporter card. And this is kind of my point here. Kricketune, as long as you've got fewer than 3 cards in hand, Kricketune will draw until you've got 3 cards in hand. So you can use Altaria, put a supporter on top, Kricketune will draw it. You know, if you've got a 1-card hand, you Altaria supporter on top, Kricketune to draw that supporter and one other card, then you play the supporter. Altaria is phenomenal. And there are so many parallels we can make here. Macargo, which did see a whole bunch of play. Or Mewtwo, which does see a whole bunch of play. And the thing is, we could look at Tapu Lele, and Altaria is to Tapu Lele as Mewtwo is to Eldegoss. Well, Eldegoss sees a bunch of play at the moment, but so does Mewtwo. So, I'm not seeing why this wouldn't see a huge amount of play. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every deck, I know it's a stage 1, but if we compare Altaria to Macargo, Macargo had a retreat cost of 3, this has no retreats. And again, we go back to the 90 HP and the 3 retreats. Even just having that pivot card for after a KO, you get a Pokemon KO'd, you don't know what's going to be in the active, Altaria can just be that free retreater to go in the active and worry about it later, and that's my point, ladies and gentlemen. That's my point. I adore this card. I don't think every single deck is going to be able to make use of this. I'll be honest with you, I just don't. But I can tell you there are so many decks where I would want to have a 1-1 or 2-2 line of this. Not to mention, of course, we've got that Zoroark coming that can switch with any Stage 1 Pokemon in your discard, so you can even pull off weird little tricks, like if you've got no supporter, you just turn Zoroark into Altaria, search for a supporter, and go. I love this card. I know I've been handing these out like candy the last couple days, but it's a 5 WOSSY card to me. This is a phenomenal card. I think it is absolutely brilliant. It is supporter search. And it's only a stage 1, and it's got free retreat, and you can search it out with Level Ball. I'm a fan, ladies and gentlemen. I know Dragon Pokemon have come back. I couldn't care less if Altaria is a dragon or not right now. I care that it's got an amazing ability. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.